going to go ahead and introduce our final speaker for the day. So Sylvia is a lifelong educator, a mother of 3. Her son, Chris, was an undercover detective for the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department in the Narcotics Division. She never dreamed that she would ever become a donor mother. Her family honors Chris's legacy and the gift that he gave others. Please welcome Sylvia as she opens her heart to share.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? Yes? Yes? Okay. So I'd like to thank Gift of Life for giving me this opportunity to go ahead and speak with you guys and be part of this marvelous rally. So thank you very much. So when I heard I was the after lunch speaker, I thought, uh-oh, food coma. Okay. So I'll do my best to go ahead and share my story. I have so much energy I'm feeling from you guys right now. So my name is Sylvia Langhammer, and I am a donor mom. My son Christopher died and became an organ donor. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised in Kansas City. My family lives here. Most of my children still live here. I was like you guys, did all the things I thought I was expected to do. Graduated from high school, went to college, became a teacher, got married, had children. So that was my life. If you drew a picture of me, my head would be in a cloud because I was kind of just doing what I thought life was supposed to be like. I had twin daughters, and then 6 years later I had my son Christopher. But as you guys know, you can plan all you want, but life doesn't always do what you expect it to do. And I got a divorce. And I became a single mom in every sense of the word. I supported my children. I supported them emotionally and financially. And that was our life. My 2 daughters had each other. My son Christopher always felt like, where's my twin? He felt more like he had 3 moms because I depended so much on my daughters while I taught, I went to graduate school and tried to do all the other things, be both mom and dad to my family. And that's the way our life was. And we continued in that way. And my children grew up. My daughters all went to college. All my kids went to college. My daughter, April, works in Parkinson's testing of medications over KU. My daughter, Katie, works for a forestry company. She loves it. She gets to travel. And my son, Christopher, like you already heard, became a policeman in the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. He loved being a police officer, but even more, he loved working undercover narcotics. That was what he was born to do. He loved it. And like wife, he got married. He had 2 stepsons, and he was born with his own son, Oliver. Christopher, my youngest, was the most independent of all my children. He loved, from the earliest of ages, to make people laugh. He would do anything to get you to laugh. He loved superheroes. Back before you guys were even born, there was Ninja Turtles. We have some of the original Ninja Turtle toys still. He loved Batman, Superman, Wolverine. He would dress up at Halloween time, and he would be Wolverine with all the claws and everything. It doesn't matter if you were DC or Marvel, he loved the superheroes. He loved WWF before it became WWE. The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, those were his guys. And I took him to his first wrestling match. Way out of my comfort zone, but we went. He loved fireworks. He would save his money. his sisters, he would talk them into taking him to the fireworks store down the street, and he would spend as much money as he had on fireworks. He'd come home, and I'm like, save some of that money, but he didn't. The things that made the biggest bang, that's what he bought. He loved it. He loved candy, anything sweet, that was him. And guess what? I had to pay the dentist bills. That wasn't so great. He loved family gatherings. I had a sister who had 3 boys that were about his age, and he just loved being there and bonding with them. He got his first job without telling me. I just came home from work, and he said, I got a job. Kansas City Zoo came to his school, and they were trying to get people to sign up and work at the zoo. So he did that. And when he came home and told me, I was really, really surprised. We had never even talked about him getting a job. But he actually worked there for about 6 years. He didn't tell me when he was going to buy a car. He used his money from the zoo to buy a car. I found out because he needed me to go and sign the papers for him, because he wasn't old enough to do the paperwork. I found out he was smoking when I was cleaning his room, and up on top of the hutch of his bookshelf I found cigarettes. Lots of surprises for me. And when he got his driver's license, he signed up to be an organ donor because that was the grown-up thing to do. He didn't need my permission to do it. He could just do it. So that's what he did. Christopher loved working undercover. If you saw him, you'd probably walk to the other side of the street because he looked pretty scuzzy. But he was a natural. He loved it. He made the streets safer because of the arrests that he made. People he arrested were very serious charges of state and federal crimes, both with drugs and with weapons. He became the 2019 Missouri Narcotics Officers Association Officer of the Year because in the whole state of Missouri, he made 110 hand-to-hand drug purchases. He got people who sold meth, crack cocaine, powder cocaine, heroin, PCP. He arrested those people and made the streets safer for you and me. But like life again gets in the way, and his wife filed for a divorce. Christopher became clinically depressed. He asked for help. He went to a psychiatric hospital in North Kansas City that provides services for first responders and for veterans. But in February of 2019, school was out. It was one of those stretches where the weather is so cold, and it's like we didn't see the sun for days. The ice on the streets didn't melt. It was just a depressing time. And so he took advantage of that day, and he drove. He didn't mind the ice. He drove, picked up his son and his stepsons, and they went out and they had a fun day. They went to Fritz's, they went to Legoland, they went ahead and went to Sky Zone. They had a lot of fun that day. He dropped them off at home at the end of the day. He went to the parking lot of a church here in Liberty, and he shot himself in the head. He was rushed to Liberty Hospital. The trauma unit was able to keep him alive on mechanical ventilation, so he was not breathing on his own. 3 days, they tested him and finally told us that he was brain dead. So at 33, 2 weeks before his birthday, Christopher, because he had signed his driver's license to become a registered donor, became an organ donor. Like you heard earlier, being able to meet your donor and recipient families is so important I have felt to my own healing. And we were so, so blessed and lucky, exceedingly fortunate that we have been able to meet the recipients of his organs. And I would like to introduce them to you. Carla, in the picture on the right, sent me a card 2 weeks after he had died, and she received her kidney, and said, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Carla was 48, and she was living in Colorado. She had kidney failure due to a disease, and I have never met a more gracious and thankful person. If you remember what Dr. Matt said, he talked about hemodialysis, where you are hooked up to a machine that's going to filter your blood through your kidneys. She was on that machine for 10 years. 10 years, a whole decade of her life, she had to go through hemodialysis in order to survive. She spent 1,546 days. Think about that. 1,546 days she spent on the transplant list waiting for a kidney. 2 times she had gone to the hospital because she had been told, we've got a kidney match for you. She'd get to the hospital, and when they would complete their testing, they found out that it wasn't a good match. So she had to go home. She told me that when she got that call, that they had a kidney, my son's kidney for her, she almost didn't go to the hospital. She said, I can't take it. I can't go with my hopes up and then find out that I do not have a kidney. But she went. And she said the longer she waited at the hospital, the more hopeful she became. And her mother, who was at the hospital with her, heard the helicopter bringing my son's kidney to her, and she went out to see it. Carla got her kidney. I met her 2 years ago. I went to a wedding. My niece had a destination wedding in Colorado, so I kind of started looking, oh my gosh, Carla only lives 10 minutes from where the hotel is that we're staying. So I said, hell yes, we're making this happen. So we contacted Carla and we got together, and I got to meet her. She tells me she gets up every morning, she gives her kidney a little pat and says, good morning, Christopher. Another thing that Carla told me is, and I never thought about this, she had to learn how to pee again. I never even thought about that, but she said, oh yeah. She says, I guess, I don't know, if you have a kidney issue like she had, it filtered everything. She said, I have to learn how to pee. Okay, interesting. Okay, the picture on the left is Tyson. Tyson was 33 years old and lived in Ohio. Tyson did his own investigation because there's a process. They just don't want you to try and find out who got your kidneys and stuff. So there's a process you have to follow to make sure that everybody stays safe and nothing crazy goes on. But Tyson didn't follow that. He actually did some investigating on his own, and he tracked down my daughters through Facebook. And he contacted them and said, hey, I think I have your brother's heart. And they said, prove it. And so he actually had a letter I had written to all his recipients telling them a little bit about my son. And that's how they knew it really was him. Tyson drove 2 days with his family to Kansas City so that I could meet him. I'm not sure I would have done it this way, but we met at a restaurant. And I got to hear my son's heart for the first time, beating for somebody else. Tyson damaged his heart beyond its ability to function because he drank too many energy drinks. He had a business where he worked in landscaping. He had a family to try and keep up with business and family and everything. He drank a lot of energy drinks. So just keep that in mind. As a mom, I would tell you everything in moderation. But because of those energy drinks, he almost died. Okay. The next one is Walt. Well, You can look at the picture and figure out, I met Walt during COVID. Walt was 57. He got a kidney and a liver from my son. He suffered from a disease that caused inflammation of his liver and kidney failure. He was so sick, he was almost taken off the transplant list. But he did get the organs that he needed. We met over breakfast during COVID. He's married, he's retired, and he has a new life now in Tennessee. My son gave both of his lungs to another young man. We do not know who he is, but his mother has contacted us. His mother, Paulette, tells me her son is quiet, kind, caring, and humble. He suffered from a disease that made it impossible for him to do the simplest activities. He could not walk across the room or across the stage like I'm doing without being tethered to oxygen. He couldn't do anything. But now, because he has my son's lungs, he can ride bikes, he can go hiking, he loves to swim, he loves to hunt, which is really funny to me and my daughters because Christopher would never have done any of those things. He would have rather gone to a movie and watched superheroes or play video games. So someday I hope to be able to meet this young man so that I can see and think about Christopher's lungs having all of those adventures and journeys. Christopher could not give his pancreas because, you remember what Dr. Matt said, sometimes they are scarred. He had a fatty pancreas, and I say he had a fatty pancreas because he had a policeman's diet, too many fast foods. He donated his corneas. One of his corneas actually went to a gentleman in Egypt, and the other cornea went to a gentleman in South Africa. My son gave grafts of skin, bone, and connective tissues that improved the lives of 56 other people. Being an organ donor family, being a donor mom is not anything I ever would have chosen. It's a path I never thought I would have walked. My son has been dead 5.5 years now. Not a day goes by that I don't think about him and all the joy he brought us and the life that he gave these other people. But I have a grandson who doesn't remember his dad. I have daughters who no longer have a brother, and no parent should ever have to bury their child. My son was a good man, and he was a good cop. I don't want how he died to be how he is remembered, but I want it to be how he lived, and the decisions that he made to register as an organ donor that gave 4 different people new life and improved the quality of life for almost 60 other people. So as I leave today, I want to share his heartbeat with you that was recorded by Midwest Transplant. They are an organization that guides families through the donation process when they are in the hospital. They stood by our side the entire time, and we are most grateful for them. And when I listen to it, I listen to the heartbeat of a hero who made the brave decision to register as an organ donor when he was just about your age. And he changed lives forever, and perhaps you will too.